For the next 6 math lessons, we're going to be working with something called data analysis, which basically means what do these numbers mean? We're going to begin with something called the mean, and this is something that you have learned before in previous grade levels. The mean is basically what you hear your teachers calling the average all the time. Your average is passing, your average is failing. So what a teacher does is they look at all of the pieces of information that you give them, all the papers you hand in. We give you a number associated with each assignment. We add up all of those numbers and divide by the number of items that we gave you to do, and that's the mean. That overall is how well you're doing in the subject. Okay, now that being said, if you think about this as grades, when I include data in your grade average, if you get a 0 on something, that doesn't mean it doesn't count for anything. That one piece of data had no value, but it still counted in the total number of pieces of data. So this is why we want to always do something instead of just doing nothing.
Okay, before we go on, I want to ask you this question. What is another word that we use to describe what mean is? Go ahead and answer that for me, please. That's correct. The word average is a synonym of the word mean. Okay, now we're going to watch an example of how to calculate the mean.
Say we're looking at the children's ticket prices for 5 different museums, and we want to figure out the mean of how much you pay for a child at different museums. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 museums. Now, off to the side, each one of these dollar signs is worth $1. Now, this first one is $7. This one is $8. You can see it's one more than 7. Now, this one matches up. So this one's also 7, and this one's 8. Now, this one is quite a bit longer. So if this is 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So 7 plus 8 is 15, and 7 plus 8 is 15, and this is 15. So that means the total amount of dollars, if you were to take one child to all those museums, you'd spend $45 on that child. Now, to find the mean, one thing you can do is you can kind of steal from the one that's got a bunch of extra dollars, and you can kind of move them around, and so everything is evened up. Now, if you kind of sort everything around so it's evened up, then you're actually 45 divided by 5 is $9. So the average price you're going to spend on a kid going to a museum is going to be $9. Okay? Now, we're going to look at another example over here. Now, okay, so moving dollar signs around works sometimes, but what if the numbers are really huge, a lot larger, like these temperatures? Now, this is something called a dot plot. That previous graph was a pictogram. Okay, so the dot plot here is talking about the high temperatures for 6 days in Arkansas. So 2 of those days were 45 degrees. One day was 47. One day was 49, 50, 52. And you can see there are some days that there are some temperatures that never were the high. So there were actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days, like it says in the problem, are represented by the 6 dots. So you're going to write those numbers. And you see 45 is written twice because there are 2 days that had a high of 45. So once you write all these numbers, this is like the teacher collecting all these grades. You add them all together, we get 288. We divide that by 6, so the average temperature is 48 degrees. Okay? Now, the mean was 48 degrees, so in that time frame, it was about 45 degrees. 48 degrees was the high. So I think I may have said 45, but lost my mind. 48 degrees was the average high. Okay, now, so here's another dot plot. So we're talking about the number of runs. So if you're watching baseball games, of course, we can't do that now because baseball's not happening at the moment. But if you're watching a baseball game, the number of runs that a team makes each game in a 4-game series. So one game, they only got 1 run. Then they got 3 runs, another one. On 2 different games, they got 4 runs. So determine the mean. Well, first off, 1, 2, 3, 4. There were 4 games, so you should have a 4 here at the bottom. And then we're going to add 1 plus 3 plus 4 plus 4. That's the total number of runs that were achieved. Okay? So at the top, we're going to write 1 plus 3 is 4 plus 4 plus 4. That's going to be 12. And we're going to divide that by 4 data points. Okay? So if we're going to, let's see, oops, really? Okay, turning the answers on. Yay! Okay, so that's the data points I was talking about, divided by 4. 12 divided by 4 is 3. So the average that they scored each game was 3. Now, that is the mean, and that is the information, but you can see why sometimes means can be misleading. Because really, one of the games, they just got 1. So in 2 of the games, they got quite a bit more, and 1 they got 3. So this is just a little bit useful, but it's something you do need to understand.
Okay, we're going to do a couple examples together, but I just wanted to show you that if you are on the lesson objective page, you're going to see there's another example involving checker pieces as a part of a pictograph. 1 checker piece is equal to 1 checker piece. And then this video shows you how you can move those checker pieces around to find the mean of how many checker pieces each of those 4 groups had. And then there's another example involving a bar graph and the different jacket prices and how many total jackets there were. And you can basically the same routine is going to be useful. Add up all the amounts for each bar, divide by the total number of bars that there are, and you can click on this to watch the video of how to solve that. Just like you can click on this video to watch how to solve this one as well. Here's another example about temperatures, and basically add up all the temperatures, divide by the total number of temperatures. And again, you can click on this. So if you ever need help with how to do these things, these videos are always available for you on the lesson objectives and vocabulary practice page. So there's no reason you can't seek out help on your own. Now we are going to do 2 examples from the book before this notes video is over, so hang in there. Okay, in this first problem, and we're back on page 784, so please write down this example in the book as we do it. The table shows the number of CDs a group of friends bought. Determine the mean number of CDs the group bought. Use the mean to summarize the data, the center of distribution. Now, if you'll notice, I've actually rewritten these numbers, and I wrote them in order from least to greatest, and this is a very good habit to develop when you're analyzing data, because sometimes data can repeat itself. So I wrote down 0 because it's the least value, crossed it out, wrote down 2, then I wrote down 3, crossed those 2 out, wrote down 4, and I wrote down 6. Now I'm going to count just to make sure I have them all. There are 5 crossouts over here and 5 numbers. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to add all of these up. Now, we don't exclude the 0 because 0 happened. One of these friends bought nothing, so we have to account for that. And we're going to divide by the total number of CDs purchased. Okay, so that's 5. We're going to divide by 5. So, all right, the first thing I want you guys to do is to go ahead and add up these top numbers and tell me what that sum is. So I'm going to write the equivalent expression here. What is 0 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 6? Go ahead and answer that for me, please. Okay, very good. 6 plus 4 is 10. 2 plus 3 is 15. So we're going to have 15 divided by 5. So go ahead and solve that for me. So this is equivalent to 15 divided by 5. What is 15 divided by 5? Go ahead and answer that for me, please. That's correct. The answer is 3. So if we were going to summarize the center of distribution, we would say that that 3 describes the center of distribution. All right, we're going to do another problem together. This is going to be on page 785. This time it has a dot plot. It says the dot plot shows the number of books Dina read each week of the reading challenge. Determine the mean number of books she read. Use the mean to summarize the center of distribution. Okay, so again, we're going to collect our data from this picture. So, and the good thing about dot plots, it already is lined up least to greatest. So I'm just going to write this out. So 1 plus, and there's only one 1. But there are 3 3s. So 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus, okay, so I've done this one. Okay, did those 3s. And then we have 4 plus 4. So I crossed them out as I wrote them out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's very important to actually remember or to double check the number of pieces of data. So we have to find the sum of this, and then we're going to divide by the total number of pieces. And as we've just said, that's going to be 6. So let's go ahead and add the numerator together. Go ahead and add 1 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 plus 4. What is that? Okay, very good. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 1 is 10, 4 plus 4 is 8. So you should have 18 as your answer. And then you're going to divide 18 by 6. What is 18 divided by 6? That's correct. The answer is 3. So once again, we would summarize the center of distribution by saying 3 describes the center of distribution of this set of data. Okay, so today we learned some new words, that data analysis, and the first type of data analysis that we are practicing today is called mean. We learned what the word mean is, and center of distribution, kind of the average of what